Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the Game Week 24 pod of the FPL Wire. I'm your host, Zofa, and I'm joined by my co-host, Late Riser. Podding after a long time, buddy. How you been?
Been good. So nice to talk to you. It's been a while. And actually, I think we started talking just about today because there's just so much to process. And,
And
because
unexpected things happened last night, man. Chelsea won a game of football.
Chelsea won a game of football convincingly. They did quite well. So it was nice to see. Uh, Interesting in terms of where, FPL managers can make their way through in the next few weeks. I think it's a very, very interesting time of the season. I can see some wildcards going this week, some wildcards going 26, 27, some wildcards holding fire till 30th. It all just makes sense. And it's just interesting point of the season. But congratulations to you. You're inside the top 40K now, Zoff. At this point, do you have FPL targets in mind in terms of how you want to end the season, or just consolidate and see where we are later?
See, I know Pras mentioned on a previous pod this is his favorite part of the season, and you mentioned the word interesting. It's not actually my favorite part of the season because I still like just playing simple, basic FPL, picking good players from good teams.
Yeah.
And Richarlison is a perfect example of that, right? You see the scores he's got the last few weeks. So many people, the only reason he isn't at 40% ownership is because of blank game week 26. So it's very
Yeah.
easy to get sidetracked and tunnel vision into just like thinking about chips and strategy rather than just picking players who will score points and goals purely because of
It-
fixtures. So I'm a bit wary of that, and that's why I'm doing something different this season. I wouldn't have bought Richarlison in the past couple of years
yeah.
purely because he has a blank, etc. So I'm trying to balance that somehow. You obviously have to play the chips, you have to play the blanks in a certain way, but again, you should be very conscious that good players will score points still. Sometimes
Yeah.
more in one
Exactly.
game than the other players do in two.
Effectively speaking, you have to take note that if you're getting a player that's poor, appearance points are only two. And I was guilty of, as I like to call it, fixture chess. And it's a good point to note this also because I sold a certain Ollie Watkins this week for Erling Haaland. Now, until an hour and a half ago, the football sense was in my head. I was continuing to remember where I did feel that Watkins had a stronger fixture than a Dominic Solanke did. It's easier said than done in hindsight, but I was free at work for an hour when the news doubled. And I was like, I'll probably want Jota next week. So I just did a little bit of forward planning and I was like, I can't afford Palmer to Jota if I was to do it this week. If I sell Solanke instead of Watkins. Now that bit of fixture chess made me think, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do this. Now in hindsight, both had fairly decent fixtures, whatever you want to say, and the punishment was stronger. But my point is that playing this fixture chess when you're planning moves 5, 6, 7 weeks ahead. I'd like to quote FPL Neil, who replied to my tweet. He said that sometimes you're trying to checkmate 10 moves ahead and your queen is, exposed on the first move for a checkmate. So you do have to be wary because pounds are there to take in 24, 25 also. There are teams that have good fixtures. And that somehow just is, it's a thin line in terms of balancing that, but we need to pay importance to that.
Cool. Let's start unpacking it now. We have a lot to go through. Let's start off with our sponsor plugs.
As always, all the stats and data that you see from the Fantasy Football on this podcast are from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. It's just the members' articles are coming in thick and fast on the website, and it's just a good time because we won't have enough time to process everything in terms of watching highlights as well as paying attention to this fixture chess. So, quick sanity check is always going into the members area and looking at stats, which helps. So, you do want to become a member, please click on the link in the description below.
And as you know, the FPL Wire has partnered with NordVPN, and we have already mentioned in the past the privacy features, threat protections, access to global content libraries. You guys probably already know this. Now they have a new offer that's running from February 7th to the 20th of March, where you get a discount on 2 years membership plus 4 extra months plus some gifts. Now, what are these gifts, you ask? For USA, UK, Australia, and Canada subscribers, users in these countries who purchase any of the 2 year plans will receive Uber Eats vouchers for 20, 30, or $30, for 10, 20, or 30 rather, depending on the package you select. For other countries, the deal includes 4 extra months on the 2 year plan plus a 3 month coupon to share. Sign up today. Cool. We'll come back to another fixtures for this game week, but before, let's discuss what all has happened since we last podded, for which we will go to, of course, the fixture guru Ben's ticker. So Liverpool's double was confirmed quite late on Saturday, which we already expected to happen. Their double obviously is Brentford Luton and gives Luton, United, and Liverpool. Another development that has happened is Bournemouth's double, which was due to their postponed fixture earlier, has now been confirmed. They have a very good double, which includes Sheffield United and Luton, both at home. And Luton's double is quite attractive as well, is Palace and Bournemouth away. Now, the other
Just
impact...
worth noting
Go ahead.
that, so now just worth noting that Luton, if you're looking at the fixture schedule, has a double in 25, has a double in 28, and potentially has a fixture in 29. Liverpool have a double in 25, a blank in 26, and probably no fixture in 29. Just wanted to add that.
And these are some of the probabilities for the blanks. You guys already know most of these we have discussed, but what has happened is now the West Ham against Aston Villa fixture in 29 has been confirmed after Villa lost to Chelsea yesterday. Now, we do expect at least one fixture to be added to it, and the probability is probably going to be the highest with the Luton versus Forest one, because Luton play Manchester City and Forest play United. That could obviously go the other way with respect to United, we think. And obviously, Chelsea Leeds also could potentially see an upset. So, all these fixtures, we will have more clarity on the cup results by the end of Game Week 26. That is the period between 26 and 27. By then, we would
Yeah.
also have the FA Cup draw. So we know which teams are facing each other in 29th, and then we can make some sort of extrapolation as to what the semi-finalists will be, as in which teams will blank in 34, who will double in 37. You can start guesstimating that. So that's
Just one thing here is worth noting that Game Week 29 will have a minimum of 4 games. So one of Man United versus Sheffield United or Luton versus Forest, unless Luton beat Manchester City, pretty much has to happen.
Correct. But just at the face of it, 29. Now, first of all, the first question is we usually free hit in 29, which is the big blank. The fixtures don't look like they're very upside fixtures. West Ham Villa, I think it's very easy to get players. Tottenham, we will want players from 27 anyway, because they have a good run of fixtures. Burnley, you're not really going to invest. You hope your Charlie Taylor is fit by that time. Brentford perhaps are interesting because they're the only team that double in 26 and have a fixture in 29.
Double in 25.
Sorry, double in 25. My bad. They play in 26. They don't have a blank there. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it. We will look at the bigger picture and do a little bit of team by team, which might help you with terms of what might be beneficial for you when to wildcard and what our plans for. But I think it's a good place to start about the now. Now, Zoff, I want to actually talk about now, and there's certain uh, differentiation in view that both you and I have when it comes to attacking the doubles in Game Week 25. So if you could put out the fixture ticker with just those 4 teams that double in 25, it would be a good starting point for this conversation.
You talking about this one?
No, there's one smaller one.
I don't think I have that. I'm not sure.
All right, fine. So let's just put Ben's sticker here because I think that's a good starting point.
Yep.
The thing is, now most of us have 1 or 2 Man City assets, and it's quite obvious that given that Man City have a fixture in Game Week 26, they seem like the first place for us to target players if you don't own them, because 3 of the teams that double in Game Week 25 have a great starting point this week. City, who have a double in 25 of Chelsea and Brentford at home, face Everton at home in Game Week 24. Luton Town, who have a double of United at home and Liverpool away in Game Week 25, have Sheffield United at home this week. And we've seen in the Villa game that now Sheffield United, I mean, they might change things, but they just look very, very open. The way they performed against Aston Villa, I mean, even you were surprised. And even Ollie Watkins was surprised. He mentioned in the post-match interview, he couldn't believe the kind of space that he was getting. Licking his lips, right? He told me, he said. And then there's Liverpool, who have a double against Brentford away and Luton Town in 25, who have probably the best or the second best fixture of the season in Burnley at home in Game Week 24. Now, it's just I've mentioned this on the pod many times, where one of my philosophies is, if you're looking at players that you're sure of getting that will benefit you in the midterm, get them at the start of that run, because you give yourself the highest odds of catching a haul. Now, a haul is possible when we're talking about teams like Man City and Liverpool, who are 2 of the best attacks in the league as things stand. So that's where we are. And then you did mention, and I quite agree with you, that there are layers to this. What are the layers we're talking about, Zoff?
I mean, first of all, the big curveball is the Carabao Cup final for Liverpool in Game Week 26. Now, I jokingly said that out of Brentford, Luton, and Chelsea, Chelsea is probably the easiest fixture. But after last night, you'd imagine Klopp will have some sort of pause for thought, right? It is a big trophy for them. It's his swan song. I'm sure he'd want to go out with some sort of accolades at the end of the year. So they are going to prioritize that. They will likely field a strong team. So again, the guys who have now deputized in the meantime, your Elliott, your Gakpos, your Bradleys, I think they could very well get the Luton at home game, because Brentford is not going to be easy. Brentford are again a physical team. They're going to give them a good game, which is away. So against Luton, I do expect some rotation to happen. So I'm just wondering to myself, is it a real double? Because keep in mind, If you look at the picture from 24 to 26, they have the same fixtures as everybody else, assuming you're not playing a chip in 26, either the free hit or a wild card, right? And there's a lot of uncertainties in the sense, and Salah is a big one. The news we got just before coming onto the pod is that he still isn't training with the team. He's on an individual fitness program, which means that he could still possibly, let's say, make the bench against Brentford, get a start against Luton. There's some minutes there that you're going to see erode over there. And another reason I would like to know is also Trent. For example, now Trent, we don't know how fit he is. Is Trent going to start both games? I think it would be unfair not to give Bradley even one of those after he's played so well for so long. You give him ideally the Luton game, in which case you wonder is, should I even carry Trent? Now, Trent is quite clear for me, is someone I wouldn't even be looking to buy right now. But I'm possibly even looking to sell Trent in 25, let's say for somebody like a Moreno. Now, I want to, let's say, upgrade Palmer. I don't want to sell a Saka or a Watkins. Doing a Trent to Moreno in 25 effectively is giving me two fixtures. The same thing that Trent has. And is letting me upgrade somebody like Palmer, who I want for sure. Sorry, I want gone for sure. So there are a lot of things I want to consider, and I don't even know which Liverpool asset I want out of Jota and Darwin yet. I have Trent. So I personally am leaning towards giving it one more week because Liverpool are the early kickoff in game week 25.
Let's counter and have this conversation because I understand Trent and I understand Salah. Like I understand the layers to that. But if you're sure about Darwin or Jota, you have to get them again for Burnley at home because that's simply just his hat-trick potential. Like it's a decision that you're probably going to make next week anyway for selling somebody who's a good player who has a good fixture this week. But it's just his hat-trick potential. I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice by not targeting this fixture. And secondly, just to counter the points, I was having a look at the spacing of the fixtures. Now they play Burnley at home this Saturday. Then they play Brentford away early on the Saturday. And then they play
Wednesday.
Luton Town Wednesday. And then they play the final on Sunday, and after which they have an FA Cup game against whoever. I forget that. So I don't think that's one thing. The second thing is they just dropped 3 points to Arsenal. So the title race is even closer. There's even lesser room to breathe. There's even lesser room to give any sort of margin to Arsenal and City, who are both in the title race. And thirdly, Luton Town have scored the most number of goals in the last 9 game weeks when you're talking about goals per game. So is Klopp going to take either Brentford or Luton lightly? No. I feel like the fact that Liverpool are very much in a title race, which is neck and neck, where there is no room to breathe, sort of takes up the expected minutes for the first choice players. Now, I do agree that first choice for Trent Alexander-Arnold is a little, he's not first choice. The thing is, you could see in the Arsenal game that he looked leggy. And there's a week after that. So I feel like if you own Trent, you definitely don't sell because I think from Arsenal to 2 weeks later against Brentford, he should recover in fitness and then you chance and hope that he plays 2 weeks. I don't think you sell a player. I think you will reassess maybe after watching Burnley. But I wouldn't be in a hurry to sell somebody like a Trent because if he's fit, he's fit.
I agree, but I want that 1 week of time. My point is don't sell him now, but he might potentially be on the chopping block for me in 25. Yeah. That's it.
In fact, if I didn't have Trent, I wouldn't be in any hurry to buy him against Burnley. The players I would be in a hurry to buy would be somebody I'm sure is going to play in the front three. Now, one thing that we noticed, we both discuss and agree on, is that Liverpool just looked like a much more depleted attack without Darwin. Darwin causes the chaos in that team. He's that important to that team and he's first choice. And I think it's pretty established that that is the case. Only thing with Darwin is, again, he didn't look like his usual self. He wasn't able to cause as much chaos as possible because also he had a swollen foot. He couldn't get his foot inside the boot. All of that was there. So we don't know how fit Darwin was against Arsenal. A week later, we have to see what Klopp has to say. And if he's fully fit, he's a buy. We don't know the extent of what that injury / he obviously wasn't 100% fit and Klopp kept him on the bench. So that's the 2 or 3 things that you keep in mind. But I feel like even though Haaland is in the conversation, Jota is just a good captaincy option irrespective, even while Haaland is in the conversation because it's Burnley. It's the best fixture in the league at home. They come out to play and I just don't know how. I think the only thing that might change in terms of the needle swinging next week is if Salah is close to being fit. Irrespective, I think you'll want a Jota or a Darwin, even if that's one. because even if the minutes are shared, they're likely to play this week and potentially playing next week. So and we're talking about a team capable of scoring 4-5 goals. We're not talking about any random team, right? These are the best teams in the league. So when it comes to the best teams in the league, I'd attack them. I'd compromise the Bournemouth double. I'd compromise the Luton double. I don't think they are as important or do have the ceiling that teams like City and Liverpool do as well.
Correct, but the blank is a big curveball again, right? Let's say a transfer in to get them in, then a transfer out. And let's say you're talking about somebody like Saka. Saka now in 25 has Burnley away, which is the same fixture that Jota has this week. Now, Saka could easily get within 4 to 5 to 8 points off Jota in that sense. And you're going to want Saka back in 26, I think, despite the possibility of an Arsenal blank in 29, just because the fixtures are so good. You have Sheffield United, Newcastle at home, Brentford at home. And Arsenal look like they're getting better. We've seen post of that whole summer break, which they had, not summer, winter break, which they had. Generally, the whole attack looks more fluid. Saka's numbers are way up.
Yeah. Then, I agree that it's not easy to sell somebody like a Saka. But I think you have to compromise somewhere. Because if you're buying in Jota next week, which is very likely, you have to buy him this week, figure it out. Like some compromise, some difficult decision has to be made without delay, because I can't write off the fact that it's a hat-trick fixture. It just is. It's a 2-3 return fixture. And you're sitting early.
I agree, but the way I'm thinking is I might not even go for Jota next week if Salah is in the equation. That's why I'm wanting to delay that transfer.
Even if Salah is in the equation, I don't see how Jota doesn't get minutes.
No, I don't see he won't get minutes. He's definitely coming off. Even if he gets bench, he's going to get 30 minutes off the bench either way. You're expecting around 100, 120 minutes for Jota.
Exactly. And in fact, that's even more reason to consolidate by getting Jota now. We're expecting 75, 80, 85 minutes, right? So that's where we are. I understand the point, but I feel like whether it's this week, next week, 27, we're going to have to make some very difficult decisions. Decisions aren't going to be easy. I mean, I moved into 4th and 5th gear a little earlier than intended because I was perceiving we will need to make these decisions which require selling some tough problems. So that's where we are.
I just think it's easier to sell players who blank at 26 like a Palmer. Now that Palmer, now I'll see you give him the Palace fixture, but then after that next week is a very easy sell because you have City at home and then the blank, and then we are talking about a possible blank in 29 as well. Now the problem is with if you have like KDB like me, there's no money to go anywhere with Palmer. That's where the tricky thing comes in. You have to sell in the guys who you'll want back in 26.
Yeah, you have to compromise somewhere. You have to chart up. But you're thinking that compromise isn't worth the 2 transfers that you're making.
Correct.
Fair. I mean, and I think it's okay to be on either side of the fence because the fence is so thin, and you also going to need a fair bit of luck to fall on the right side of the coin. I understand that point of view. So I think in fact, the point is both of us stating opposite ends of the poll are giving all our listeners factors.
Should we have a look at the Liverpool stats while we're talking Liverpool? That way we sort of delve into the entire subject. Let's just have a quick look at their attackers' numbers. Now, these are the numbers for the last 6 game weeks sorted by expected goal involvement. A large chunk of Salah, what you see over here, is purely just from that Newcastle game. Now, for the audio guys, I'll just read out some numbers over here. Nunes is way out on top. 5.57 expected goal involvement. Jota is just 1.75. Now, obviously, his minutes are significantly lower than most of these guys you see over here, but his XG non-pen is just 0.68. Again, we don't read too much into that because Jota is a very good finisher, as we have seen. Although that's something I've not really seen historically from him. I think he's improved on that over the last couple of years. He wasn't this clinical when he was at Wolves, but players improve. So I'll give him that. But on paper, I think the chaos factor is much more with Darwin. The ceiling is definitely there. The frustration obviously is definitely there. And from what I see is both the opponents they're playing, Brentford and Luton, are physical teams. You need the height over there to defend set pieces as an out ball. So I think in terms of the probability of the players starting both, I think Darwin is slightly higher than Jota. Do you agree?
Yeah, but Jota is the better finisher. Like I feel
points.
Like when it comes to
that's all simple. He gets points. Say that he gets the points.
And if we were to, not that you're going to captain somebody, but like you can't discount the extra point for the goal, the extra point for the clean sheet. All of those factors sort of add up. You know, like I'm a Darwin lover. Absolutely, I'm a Darwin lover. But like, if you're asking me as of now, who would I be more comfortable punting on a captaincy in 24? I would probably say Jota, because also the little slight swelling on Darwin's foot and his little doubt over fitness is existing. If he's fine, he's fine. But I'm just stating where my
He's
head is
had a
at the
history
moment.
also of like anytime I can remember the Liverpool have had a 3-game week, he usually misses one.
Yeah, yeah. But I think, oh, you're talking about Darwin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darwin.
But now the coin has shifted, because until Mo comes into the picture, Liverpool are reliant on him to cause the chaos up front. It doesn't happen with Gakpo. Even we discussed this, right? We probably think that if Darwin was close to being fit, Klopp maybe made a tactical error
We
playing
don't
Gakpo
know.
over
We
Darwin.
don't know whether it was
Yeah,
a tactical decision or an injury decision, because we saw the training pictures posted the day
yeah,
before. He was training fine with boot on his feet and everything.
yeah. So that's where we are. And on the matter of Trent, right? I don't think he's a buy at the moment. You see what happens in Burnley, assess Klopp's quotes and take a call in 25. But I would hold on to him. I wouldn't. Okay, if you're, you know, cornered into a place and you need to do Trent to a Van Dijk to assure yourself of 270 minutes in the next 3 games so that you can afford a Liverpool attacker of such, maybe you do it. It does make sense. But if you can find another route, I'd be more willing to that, because if Trent is fit, then he's fit. And he's one of the
That being
best players
said,
in the league.
I don't like either of the fixtures for clean sheets, particularly in the double, because Luton
Yeah.
will come to play. They've completely scrapped
Yeah.
the whole park the bus thing. I think they'll score at Anfield. They have the tools to do that now. Barkley's playing really well, and Brentford on their own patch, they usually do score.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair. Fair. I wouldn't prioritize. I think the money slots in terms of priority are the attackers.
Completely agree there. You definitely look
Yeah.
to invest in the attack, and I don't think you need to go like triple Liverpool either. I think 2 is just fine. I think
What do you
tripling
think
up from
about
City
Lewis?
is far more important, because City, it's very rare that we've had such a clear, these are the 3 guys you pick in their attack. You've seen now it's very
Yeah.
hard to see Haaland, KDB or Foden being dropped the way they're playing, and we just haven't seen that with Pep in previous years. This is the smallest squad he's had, fewest substitutions he makes. The Game Week 26 fixture is confirmed. Go ahead, you're saying something?
Uh, just before digressing to City, I just wanted to ask you, would you consider Luis Diaz as a punt?
It's interesting, that one, because as we saw previously, right, the minutes seemed the most secure, but also the ceiling feels the lowest. I'd rather go for point potential rather than X minutes in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't even think his minutes are secure.
It's not.
In my head, I think the first choice is Salah, Jota, and Darwin. I just think that's first choice. And then everybody else sort of are bit part players is where I am.
It depends on the opposition, what he wants to do with it, because again, Diaz doesn't create much. He's more of a scorer, as we've seen.
Yeah. Conclusion, as we say, on the fence if you're selling somebody like a Saka, but
or even a Watkins, man.
does...
Watkins has Manchester United at home this week.
Yeah, yeah.
And you guys are without Martinez, right? I think Martinez is gone.
Yes, but we have improved defensively. It isn't like an open team like it used to be, you know. It's worth noting that Watkins, when he had the slightly tougher or middling fixtures, he did have 4-5 blanks in a row, right? So, and I was talking to Pras about this because I have wounds from last week, thinking about selling Palmer this week. And he's like, it shouldn't let you affect your decision, because objectively, Sheffield United was the worst, difficult, easy fixture. United is not Sheffield United, at least. So there needs to be some decisions needed to be taken somewhere. If you're getting Darwin, then Darwin to Watkins is almost nailed on in Gameweek 26, right? So I just don't see how you can ignore Burnley at home. It's a good fixture for something you're going to own in 25.
If you were to make your bet, if you were to make your bet this week, would you get in Jota or Darwin?
It depends who the easiest sell is. If your sell is Cole Palmer and you can manage to get Jota, then Jota. I think it depends on that. I don't lie. My instinct is Jota. My instinct is just Jota.
What if it's between Saka and Watkins? I think for most people, Darwin is coming in for Solanke, and I think that's quite, I wouldn't say easy, but I think I would still do that much more willingly than with Watkins.
Relatively easy. Yeah, relatively easy. I mean, do you want to talk about Bournemouth? Their form has dipped a little.
It has dipped, and we mentioned it the last pod as well. Like the goal they scored against West Ham was literally the only attempt they had. So they are doing well, but they're not cooking at the same level that they were, like, let's say, 3-4 game weeks ago.
Yeah, this is just a thing. Their manager also cited that they were tired. So could that be a thing? That's something we need to be wary of. And if you're selling Solanke and then he does have. Let's go to the ticker. He does have City in 26. He does have Newcastle away. By the way, Newcastle away is a good fixture now. Newcastle away, just we need to change that perception. It's a good fixture at the moment. They are last 6, last 8, bottom 2, bottom 3 for XG until they improve their bat. Like I think we need to sort of factor that in. Uh, you probably get him in 27, 28. Then is where we are.
Correct,
And this is
because
all without this.
that's what people are saying, that I can't sell Dom now. I'm going to sell Watkins instead just because Dom has a blank in 28. It's a transfer you can make then, man. It's not like you have to carry him all the way till 28. You're getting more points from Watkins. Like Watkins in 26 is arguably one of the best captaincy options.
Yeah. Yeah, you sort of have to combine fixture chess with football chess. Like it's exactly the mistake I made last week where I didn't register in my head that Watkins has the better fixture this week. That's all. Like you have to be wary of that. And it's very easy to forget in the spur of the moment also.
Between Watkins and Saka, who would you be willing to sell? I think Watkins for me. Although I did Watkins to Darwin earlier in the season, it did not go well.
I'd be selling Saka, I think.
Interesting, because the West Ham game is interesting one. Go ahead.
I just think he's more involved in attack for returns than Saka is. Saka still doesn't, like, he seems a little peripheral compared to a Watkins. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. You could see Arsenal winning 3-0 and Saka not getting anything. It's not happening with Watkins.
Or getting one return.
Yeah.
Like, Saka is that 8 to 10 ticker. Watkins, I'd be scared now, especially about what happens, but I'm scared of a brace hat trick because every time, like, it's instinct, right? When you're watching some other game and then live score pops up on your phone. If it's Arsenal score, I still am hopeful it might not be Saka. If I'm Saka, no. With Aston Villa, my head drops because very rarely is Watkins not assisting or scoring. Like that's an important fact.
I mean, maybe I'm building narrative over here. Generally, Moyes is also very good at nullifying the team's primary attacker. He doubles, triple teams usually on the side. But something is sticking in my mind. This is a fixture that sort of swung Arsenal's title race last season. This is when Saka missed his penalty.
Yeah,
I think that will also be fresh in Arsenal's mind. But I think currently I'm more leaning towards, if I was to do the move, more likely to do Saka to Jota. But again, I want to see next week what might happen, how the landscape might change with an injury somewhere else. It might make that move easier for me.
Yeah, because in 25, the fixture for Saka is better than the fixture for Watkins.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's where we are. Right, let's move to City. Enough about this because we have a lot more to cover during the course of the pod. I think it's going to be a long one. Just want to get an early plug in. A couple of things for those of you all asking, what about Pruss? Pruss had work commitments, but he's going to be on Deadline Dilemmas later, which is on the Fantasy Football Scout YouTube channel. And he said that he might do a 15-minute wildcard windows video that you might see on the FPL Wire channel as well. So that's for you. Right, City. You were talking about obvious 3 attackers for the first time in a while.
Where would you rank them? Obviously, Haaland goes 1. And I think if you asked me before the Brentford game, most people would have said KDB 2nd, Foden 3rd. But things have changed, I think. Foden is in the form of his life. He's playing much more centrally. And it was like what we saw earlier last season as well. When Foden plays with Haaland, Foden is pretty much like drifting like a striker, playing just off Haaland. So whether he plays on the right wing, I think is where he played this game, right? Or did he play on the left? He played on the left, but I saw him central the whole time. He wasn't really holding the width on that side.
2 things that have happened. So what's happened is Guardiola this season throughout has used Walker to offer extreme width on the right-hand side and Guardiola primarily to offer extreme width on the left-hand side. He's almost playing a left winger / left forward. So whoever the winkers on paper are sort of playing in the half spaces or close to goal. They are not very wide. This didn't happen in the game previously because Walker didn't start. So Foden was the one responsible for holding the width on the right-hand side, right? Which isn't going to be the case naturally because I think Guardiola has realized, so more often than not, I think 75-80% of the games, I'm expecting Foden to play either in the half spaces or centrally. Which is why, and also a fitness monster at the moment, man. He's getting 90 minutes week on week, sprinting in the last 5, 6, 7 minutes as well. Just very involved and also costs a lot less than Kevin De Bruyne. So I think you do get Foden in place. I'm not worried about his minutes. I think if you have Alvarez, would you sell or hold? I think I sell.
I'd sell.
Yeah. Like when all of them are playing, he's not even in the front line. Haaland
Yeah,
has
I
effectively
didn't see
taken
him any
penalties
sort
from
of
him.
goal threat or any sort of like involvement even. He didn't even look threatening against Brentford.
Yeah. One shot from outside the box. Like that's it. And KDB's taken the set pieces of him. So the outlets that he had, penalties and uh, what do you call set pieces are off the books. And his positioning isn't as important as the other three. So based on price value, it's Haaland, Foden, De Bruyne for me.
I can agree with that. But I do think KDB should still be considered over the defense.
I do agree as well. It's just not as easy. So people are, filling horses for courses, and people are maybe actually what decision people are making this week is probably between KDB and Jota. Who would you go to
KDB.
between KDB and Jota? I defer there. Again, I'd go to Jota. I just go to Jota because I think he has more brace hat-trick potential
Yeah,
this
but
week.
again, I'm more
Is
confident of a start for KDB in the next 4 games. And we are talking about obviously it's only 3 games for Jota. I think you're getting 2.5.
it is worth noting that between the Everton game and the first home game against Chelsea, they have a away tie against
Yeah,
Copenhagen. So just
Copenhagen. It's
wanted to,
Copenhagen. But that being said, right, what I like is the double is they are both difficult teams on paper. And I use that term for Chelsea loosely because we have
yeah,
given Guardiola some trouble in the reverse fixture. And it's big game Kev. Kev again in
yeah,
that game, Chelsea, he always scores. And again, the
for
Brentford game
sure.
also we saw, Kev is needed to break the deep block. So
Yeah,
if you ask, if I was Pep, Copenhagen is the game I would be resting Kevin.
yeah, yeah. And and a City defender, their City, they're good. It just feels like it's a coverage pick to me though, because I don't think any of the
Yeah.
defenders are offering attacking threat at the moment. Maybe Guardiola, if you fancy getting lucky, because he's taking like a fancy shot from that left outside the box left slot. Almost every game he's taking one shot a game. Uh, but Brentford were good for 2 goals against City. They didn't look like a resolute team at the back. So that's just been the perception. Like I wouldn't.
But he did play a very attacking
eh,
team though against Brentford,
yeah,
more so than usual.
but it's still, it's not. I wouldn't kill to get City defenders. They just don't have attacking threat at
No,
the moment.
I
It's a
would even
coverage
look at
pick.
somebody
City
like a
will.
Moreno because you see even the
Yeah,
last game I saw the FA Cup game yesterday. Moreno is just chilling in the box on the left side
all the time, man.
all the
All
time.
the time, man. Yeah, he's hanging there, man. He's hanging there. One shot. If you can't afford a KDB, what do you think about a value fifth midfielder Rodri pick?
Nah, coverage pick. I don't care if he scores a brace or he scores a hat trick. Rodri is just not a good FPL pick.
The polls have shifted there, man. Like I'll tell you what has happened.
I'd
Like
rather buy a
hear me
Hechan or
out.
somebody from like Wolves. Like, there's so many
I'm
other
just talking
players.
for the next 2 weeks. Hear me out. I'll tell you what's happened tactically. He's not a six. He's sort of like an eight because what's happening is while he's playing in a pivot, he's getting more license to attack because there is no Gundogan anymore. So he's just much more involved in build-up play than he was previously. That said, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I'm with you. I wouldn't do it. Coverage pick. Fair enough.
The other picks you can get, like again, this is getting swayed by the doubles, etc., etc. Right? There's so many picks who are more explosive in that
Yeah.
price. You have Neto, etc. Wolves are just cooking, man. I'm going to be recommending Wolves the whole pod. I love what they're doing. Even though they demolished Chelsea, they completely deserve to win.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Let's
Let's
talk
talk
about
about
another
Luton
team.
Town.
Yeah, I'm just going to do that. Another team that possibly deserved to win against Newcastle. Very, very good. Luton's
Yeah.
completely transformed. I just love watching them, man. Just a
Yeah.
fun team.
A fun team with defined. If you're picking players for FPL, there are clear 3 or 4 players that you can choose from. In my opinion, now also, like it isn't. I would struggle more to pick doublers from Bournemouth than I would from Luton
I agree
because
with that.
you, yeah, you've got a value forward in Adebayo who's scored 7, 8 goals in his last 9 games and scored against Chelsea, scored against Arsenal, scored against City, scored against all the tough opposition. You've got Barkley who has created 13 chances in the last 3 game weeks, and he's fourth for shots since game week 10. But the thing with Barkley is all his shots are from outside the box, but he's decent. So, and then there's Doherty. Now, Doherty is where I've got my spider senses tingling, man's off. Like, the underlying numbers don't look really
Nah.
good
Yeah,
on
I'm
this.
surprised the numbers look way better than they actually are. The 10 chances created, I expected that to be closer to 18, like how Barclays
Yeah,
is.
but this is But this is a case of all stats is knowledge, but all knowledge isn't stats. Like genuinely, when you're watching Luton Town play, right? Like he is chilling on the left wing forward. There's so many times where if the ball didn't fall to Adebayo, at the far post, Doughty was there waiting to put that goal at the back of the net. He's on the set pieces. He's good for an assist because they tend to create a lot from his left hand side as well. He's a left, he's a set piece taking left winger priced as a 4.5 million defender, is how I view it. I feel like there's a 15-point haul coming. And just my perception with Doughty is because I might take a hit to buy him to bench Gabriel Oporo this weekend. Now, that at the face of it sounds stupid, but that aligns with the philosophy that I have that if you're targeting a player, get him at the start of the good run. Sheffield United at home is a good entry point. He's got two doubles, 25 and 28, and he's got a likely fixture in 29. I think by the time, if I'm not wildcarding by the time 30 comes, I think this hit will pay off. Just my instinct on Doughty still. The spider senses are very strong on him.
I
Just like him as a
completely
pick.
agree with you on the attacking aspect, but for the life of me, I
Yeah.
can't see Luton keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, fair. They're all with. I was watching Chase's. He does a rolling
19th.
6 xGs, 19th. So yeah, you could get lucky with one clean, but again, it's United and Liverpool in 25. So that's why the lucky could get lucky option
The
is
lucky
actually
one is the
24.
Sheffield United game, but again, Sheffield United are going to set up very differently in this game than they did in the previous ones.
Yeah.
Again, I repeat, I was completely shocked by how Wilder set up. That's completely like demoted him in my manager like hierarchy significantly.
Yeah.
But I do think they'll
Yeah.
set up to attack. I think Sheffield United will score against Luton as well. So again, good attacking pick, but you could also counter that by saying that who is keeping clean sheets. It's not like we have Porto for clean sheets. He ain't doing them anyway. So Doughty is as good as that, man.
Yeah, and Arsenal's underlying numbers are great, but even their defenders are giving us points and goals, not in cleans. Like
Correct.
even that is the case. So I'm just saying that I want to mention my gut on this. So I feel like if you're wildcarding this week, benching them and then holding them through the bench for both the doubles maybe makes sense. These are the three picks to go. Maybe a keeper if you fancy Kaminsky, but the picks are clear.
I wouldn't bother with the Kaminsky pick again. Just like again, seems like a bit of double game week coverage. I wouldn't bother using a transfer over there. If anything, I know Pras is big on Allison. I still get the appeal of that because then you can hide him in 26 quite easily. But then we don't know much about Areola yet, so you have to play that a bit carefully. Areola's injury might be a bit worse. I don't trust Moyes ever with injury updates.
Yeah, I think it's if you're going keeper, then Flecken also, even though however terrible he's been, Flecken has to be in the conversation.
He went in God mode in the one game we didn't need him to. I had 3 City attackers. I was so annoyed that this bloody Flecken. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I know. It's 4 if you count your captaincy and Erling as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But like again, 2 doubles for Flecken and no blanks. He just fits a certain.
They've kept
approach.
3 clean sheets this season, Brentford.
Yeah. Let's delve into the fourth team. I think Ivan Toney is just a good pick. A little underrated that we're not looking at him because the fixtures are slightly tough. But how much does fixture matter for somebody like Ivan Toney? I think it matters less for him compared to other players. Because Brentford are one of those pragmatic teams that sort of play as per the level of the opposition. We've seen them previously also. They do well against the big teams as well. They're capable. They were good for a goal or two against City as well. They're good for a goal or two against anyone. It's a good coverage pick where you're getting pens, you're getting 90 minutes and fixtures across all. You don't need to touch him until 29 comes. It's a spot that's parked. So I don't mind him as a pick, man. I just don't mind him as a pick. If somebody was to sell Solanke for Toney also this week or next maybe, I wouldn't talk them off.
Yeah, but it's difficult, right? Again, you look at the fixtures, you're always going to go for the high ceiling guy in Darwin.
Yeah.
Let's just go back to the ticker once again. What are Brentford's fixtures? So Liverpool at home. I like that more than City away, even though they got the brace. I think Guardiola will be a bit more cautious. West Ham is good. Chelsea is good. Arsenal away, they do give them a difficult time. Burnley, good fixtures.
Yeah, and it's Toney, right? He's got pens and minutes. So he's going to be a good steady Eddie pick. Like if you're wildcarding 24, I think we're done discussing the 24-25. Before we move on to
touch about Brentford, are there any picks besides Toney? In defense, I know Pras has been mentioning Pinnock to us. No confidence whatsoever in their defense. I wouldn't bother with the transfer there. Ben Mee?
That guy got his first game or second game, if I'm not sure, took corners and set pieces from one side and can play as a wing back, the replacement for your favorite recon. We were talking about Sergio Regular.
Oh, yeah. Michael
He's
Owen's bastard son.
yes, that tweet was incredible. Like for all of you that haven't seen it, nice to just like get focus low. Uh, Owen tweeted a picture with his son, and then Rex just replied to that saying "Dad?" question mark. Like that was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Because his son obviously looks like Regulon. So yeah, he's a pick.
Potentially, I totally
Eh,
forgot about him. How it's like 4 point-ish something, right?
What about Darts throwing 4.9 million Mr. Neil Mope?
I might buy him 26 for Archer.
Yeah, like I don't think he's terrible, man. Like Vissa's coming
Oh, the
back,
shit
but
housing, man. It's unreal. It's unreal the Mope's level of shit housing.
yeah, like you're either one reason to not buy him is just ethics, like football ethics. You don't buy such shit houses, but he makes sense. I think it's that spot next to Tony is his. It's a little bit of a crouch default situation also happening there, where Tony's good to
What's up
let
with
the play
Wissa?
other.
Is Wissa coming back from the AFCON soon? Or is he already
He's
back?
back. He's back. Now he's back, but I think the spot is more pace to lose. He's done enough. He's had he's had a consistent number of returns in the last few games as
Yeah,
well.
he's actually getting a
Is
goal or two.
yeah. The problem is I think the striker spot is the most crowded spot there is at the moment. It's more crowded than the midfield spot at the moment. Because you've got Haaland, you've got Watkins, you've got Solanke, you've got Darwin, you've got Adebayo, and then you've got Mope also, and you've got Tony also. So you're looking at like 7 players who are fighting for these 3 spots, and it's without taking into consideration teams that have fixtures that open up in 26, 27, which we'll talk about later as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot of talk about wildcards also now with this chip news. Should we talk through some possible permutations, etc.?
Yeah, before going through wildcards, I think it's just important that if you're not wildcarding or not considering wildcarding, I want to just cite my strategy because it might give some context to people. Right, already own 5 players from Liverpool and City. Most of you all, or most of us, must be owning 4 or 5 players from Man City, and Liverpool is where we are. I'm looking to get a player or take a hit to increase that quota. Then I'm looking to save in Game Week 25 because I think it might be important to move into 26 with 2 free transfers so that you can see out all your blankers. Now, selling your Liverpool players, selling somebody like a Palmer, etc., just gets a lot easier in 26. And then when you're looking at players to target, there's a leeway of players that you can target also, Game Week 26 onwards. Aston Villa is one of them who have Forest in 26, Luton Town in 27, Spurs in 28, and then West Ham in 29. So they have a confirmed fixture in 29. So you can buy Aston Villa players in 26. If West Ham's form improves, you can buy West Ham players in 26 as well. Kudus is back. So Bowen and Kudus both will be on the menu back then. You can buy Brentford. They had the fixtures are Brentford at home in 26, Everton in away in 27, Burnley at home in 28, and Aston Villa at home in 29. So from an attacking point of view, West Ham have a good run of fixtures. Like Bowen sort of becomes an easy pick if you're looking at coverage also. So I feel like I'm currently with 6 or 7 players in Game Week 26, provided I get a player or two in. I will have 2 free transfers. So I'm looking at using those 2 free transfers, maybe adding a player for a -4, -8, and setting up my team to 29 to wildcard after in 30, 31. Now you can decide whether you want to take hits in 26 or you want to decide players in 27, because what happens is before 27, we will know the results of the FA Cup games. So should there be a cup set or two, other teams could open up. For example, if United lose their FA Cup game, their fixtures look incredible. They've got Fulham at home in 26, but you're not going to decide that. But they've got 27 City, then they've got Everton at home in 28 and Sheffield United at home in 29. So that sort of thing becomes open. So I think if you're attacking the best teams without using any chips in 24, 25, and I think 24 is the time to attack them, take hits if you have to. And then have 2-3 transfers to swerve into a team in 26. That's one of the strategies, which is what I am going towards at the moment.
Yeah, then 26, I think the priority has to be fielding your attackers. I won't even bother if I'm fielding 1 or 2 defenders, because who's getting clean sheets anyway? It's all like 1-2s in your defense. Possibly the only guy you'd look to is Moreno. You have the high upside guy over there.
Yeah. And if you're, there are layers to this. If you're a manager that is decided that you're going to free hit in Gameweek 29 so that that doesn't affect your purview, then you can attack a lot more teams. Like United, like I mentioned, has good fixtures. Brentford, not Brentford, West Ham, Aston Villa. There were other teams that had good fixtures as well. Brighton have good fixtures. Everton at home, Fulham away, Forest at home. Like you mentioned, Wolves have good fixtures. Sheffield United at home, Newcastle away, Fulham at home. So if you're able to go through the 29 blind spot, then there are even more teams that have good fixtures 26 onwards.
So, at what point do you think we'll need to sort of commit our chip strategy in the short term, at least, whether you're going to wildcard, whether you're going to free hit in 29? And for our viewers, would you mention why not free hit in 26, for example?
Okay. Firstly, wildcard. If you are not having many City and Liverpool players or ideal City and Liverpool players right now, there are two options for you. You can either wildcard in 24 or you can free hit in 25. That's an option. I know of managers free hitting in 25 because they're light on City Liverpool players. And that means that you can carry your Liverpool light team into 26 as well and then look at the team forward. Uh, I don't think it's stupid to free hit in 26. But from what we've heard, it looks like the teams in Game Week 29, 34, and 37 might be very different. So we might need the free hit chip for later, is the assumption. But if you're in a terrible spot, if you're in a spot of bother and you're fielding like 4 or 5 players, I don't think it's a bad idea to free hit in 26. The other option, if you're in a spot of bother, is you can also wildcard in 26 because there's a good amount of teams that have a good run of fixtures. Give me 27 onwards, 26 onwards. But I just feel like 26 wildcard is kind of like going in blind because we're assuming that all the teams that are going to win their FA Cup games are going to win their FA Cup games. If
Which
one or
doesn't
two
happen.
upsets have,
They're
which
always
doesn't happen.
upsets.
And if they're not, it's sort of blind for a chip as important as the wildcard. In terms of importance of chips, bench post, wildcard, free hit, triple captain, the most important chip that we have is wildcard.
By far.
By far the most important chip we have. So I just feel a little uncomfortable going in blind just because there's a 15% chance that a cup set could happen in 27 and it's completely different route of stronger teams could emerge 27.
Correct.
That's where I am.
Let's
in
just
terms
do a
of
quick
pros and
pros
cons.
and cons for each week before we discuss the wildcard permutations. Now, wildcard 24, I guess, is primarily to be considered if you don't have that many assets on City, which then again begs the question, like, the last few weeks, have you been ignoring City? Which I don't think most of us are. I think most of us will already have City and maybe at least one Liverpool or two.
Even Liverpool, if you're light on Liverpool and you think this is a good time to attack Liverpool, wildcard's an option.
Correct. So that's really probably for 24. Now for 25, what is the scenario?
No. Before we move on to 25, I think the more apt thing is to show them what wildcard drafts in 24 would look like, and then we can discuss the pros and cons.
Okay.
Now this is.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah, this is our friend Jazzy's podcast, not the guy from Traitors. He's a friend of ours, been a friend of ours for years. He is light on Liverpool, City, and he thinks it's a very good time to make gains and attack. So this setup, just for the listeners, I'll read out his team. He's got Flecken, Neto in goal. He's got Gabriel, Trent, Doughty, Rex, Pau Torres. He's got Jota, De Bruyne, Foden, Barkley, Garnacho. And he's got Darwin, Tony, and Haaland. Now he's got 11 doublers in 25 with this setup. He's got 11 players in 26 with this setup. He's probably going to have we can already see 2 doublers from Luton in 28, and he's going to find a way to get Solanke in 28. And he's probably going to have 8 to 9 players in 29. Right. And he's still contemplating. He mentioned to me Barkley plus Tony versus Luton Town forward and Richarlison, because he thinks Richarlison is just an elite asset and he will see through the blank in 26 and figure out. So that's the permutation and combination that he's thinking of.
So what is the negative of this? Why should somebody not do this?
Because I feel like this type of a team that are low on, and this is brainstorming. I haven't thought of this.
Yeah, me neither. I'm just looking at it right now. Like, why shouldn't I wildcard to this team?
Yeah, and maybe you're light on Arsenal, but most people are going to sell Arsenal. You don't know what the 27 cup results are going to look like, which might present greater opportunities. You are not going to be as optimal for the doubles and blanks in 34 and 37 compared to the rest of the field, who are going to wildcard closer to 34. Uh, Spurs, less Spurs. Except for 26, Spurs don't black at all, and they've got incredible fixtures. You're going to be light on Spurs compared to the rest of the field when they have a good run of fixtures from 24, from 26, 27, or from 30. They just have a good run of fixtures throughout. That's what I can think of right now. I think the thing is, you're not going to be optimal in terms of 34 and 37. That's where you have to make
Or
ground, or
even
you're going to have.
29, you could say 29 also
Yeah.
might get tricky because most of us are planning to dead end into 29 wildcard in 30 or 31. So 30
Yeah.
obviously will become difficult to manage over there. And the
Yeah.
reason I can see it for, I think, my team and sort of other teams is I already have several of these players. I have the triple
Yeah.
city, I have Trent. You can probably throw in one Liverpool or even two if I want to, with like,
Yeah.
maybe take a hit or two. So that
Yeah.
would
Like
probably be the main reason not to.
if you have 3 from City and Liverpool, or even 4, you don't do this, in my opinion. You
I
take
agree.
the hits. Yeah. And I think it's an important point to just state that whatever way you go through in forward planning, right? There's going to be 1 or 2 weeks that you're going to compromise, that you're going to be weaker to the field. Now it comes down to your assessment of that team's strength. Like you have to pick your battles. It's a case of you have to pick your battles now based on your assessment of their footballing strength. So you don't just play fixture chess. Assess that. Like Zoff made such a great call 3 weeks ago where he knew that Spurs had a blank in 26, but he didn't want to ignore a Richarlison because he just saw that potential. So focus on the football side of things also. I'll keep reiterating that.
Yes, appreciate that. So now 25, I don't think we're seriously looking for a wild card. You mentioned a 25 free hit.
Yeah, 25 free is easy, right? I mean, pick 6
But
players
again,
from
that
City
also
and Liverpool.
depends on the same thing if you're not loaded up.
Yeah. Yeah, depends. If you're not loaded up. And if you have a good team that's possible in 26, 27, 28, 29 also.
Yeah, but the thing is with you, the City guys are just good picks for 26, 27, 28, 29. So why would you get them just for a free hit? You just buy them with transfers.
Yeah, the thing is, not everybody like us has De Bruyne and Foden in place.
No,
And
but
they
you
have to
can buy
move a
them.
lot
My
of.
point is just buy them, take hits for them because that hit pays off over 4 weeks rather than use the free hit there.
Yeah, but like, it's like how you have a Saka to Jota decision. Somebody else might have a Saka to De Bruyne decision, which isn't easy at the face of it. So,
Correct, but you'd be
yeah,
losing them on the free hit. I guess the point you're making is there now. I think 25 there's not so much, but there's a lot of debate now between wildcard 26 and 27. Where do you see that?
let's look at the fixture ticker because I think that will help us go through the situation.
I think the fact
right?
that you're playing blind in 26 is enough of a reason for me to wait till 27.
Yeah. But what if you're absolutely screwed for 26?
Yeah, if you have like
And
only 4 or 5
if
players available
and you're
stuff like that.
intending to wildcard in 27 anyway, then you probably wildcard in 26. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But then I guess
Like if you're
I think you
massive-
have to be prepared then to roll with potentially even 9 or 10 players because you don't want to compromise on your Richarlisons or even a Son. You just get them and
Yeah.
if necessary you play with 9 or 10 that week.
Yeah. Like what happens if you're going into a 26 wildcard is you have to be mindful of getting Spurs players on your bench. Like I think that would be a good starting point to go through. Get Spurs players on your bench, even if it's keeping a Son on your
You'd want
bench.
probably a Luton player or two as well.
Yeah. 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 26. See, 26, you're going to go heavy on Spurs. You're going to get some Aston Villa players in. You're going to get some Bournemouth players in. I don't know who's a good Bournemouth asset except Solanke. The problem is it's tough to pick out good Bournemouth assets. Get defenders, Tavernier, but everybody else in attack, it's a minefield. They've got Sinistera, they've got Utara, they've got Clivert, they've got Tavernier, they've got one more guy, Semenyo. And all these guys are sharing minutes. Tavernier is likely first choice. Like the only reason he started at halftime is because there was a short turnaround and he wanted to get rest. Probably a rest situation. So that's that. This Luton Town players.
Okay, you could
And then
probably
who
get
else?
those guys in. It's not that big a deal because you could just get them at 28 anyway. So you could even skip. Let's say I'm going to skip Solanke and like Luton guys at 26. I'd buy them at 28 at the expense of City players. Reasonable strategy. And I don't think. Let's just bring up the drafts now. We have a couple we've got from our Discord. This first one. This is the one that's from Swan, or this one, which is one from Swan? I'm not really exactly sure. Right. We have from
That's
Swan
okay.
and
One's
Tony.
from Swan.
Yeah.
Yeah. FPL Tony and Swan have sent in transfers. This is a 26 draft for them or 27?
27.
27 draft.
That's why you see
So just
the
for
Palace guys
can
and all
you read
that.
it?
Yeah, so it's got
Can you read?
Neto in goal, Doughty, Porro, Trippier, Barkley, Richarlison, De Bruyne, Son, Bowen, Watkins, and Solanke, with Adebayo, Pinnick, and Nouri on the bench. So this sets you up with, like, let's say 1, 2. I see 3 Luton guys, 1 Solanke. So you have your 4 doublers in place for 28. You have a lot of these guys who we expect to have fixtures also in 29.
Yeah.
Let's see, we're expecting Luton to have the fixture. Spurs have a confirmed fixture. Bowen has the confirmed fixture. Watkins, I'll probably stick a Moreno in there as well.
Yeah. I'd stick a Moreno or a Cash, who could become a pick now because
Cash
Konsa's
back,
injured
baby.
as well. Yeah. It's good for you, man. I'm happy for you. Like, nice steady hold through the. This has happened to you last year also, right? There was a player that you held through injuries until he came back from injury while
And this was a
everybody
couple
sold
years
him
ago,
as
it
a.
was Reece James.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. It was Reece James. It's not the first time this has happened. And play out the other draft as well.
So the other one is again a bit similar. Again, you have your Neto, Porro, bunch of Spurs. It's like Neto, Trent, Gabriel, Porro, Palmer, Salah, Saka, Richarlison, Son, Solanke, Watkins, Adebayo, the Luton and Bournemouth guy. This one is a little bit more tricky because you have possible blanks for Palmer, Saka, Salah, etc. in 29.
Yeah. But that's the guys he's looking to bench, probably.
Correct. Looking to bench or even possibly transfer out once you get closer to 29. Again, this is not ignoring the good fixtures to attack for that week.
Yeah, what this draft does is it's not
this is in fact
ignoring
a
your
26
Salahs.
draft, isn't it? Let me just have a quick look at the ticker. Because I'm seeing the fixtures over there for Sheffield. No, it's 27.
Yeah. But the most obvious thing is no City.
Correct. And that is going to be a big thing if you're going to wildcard in 27, because they play Liverpool in 28 and then blank likely in 29.
And on the other one, the most obvious thing was no Liverpool, in fact.
Correct. So you're compromising on good teams.
Yeah, you're compromising on good teams.
But I think that means none of us will have any Liverpool post 26.
Yeah. But the thing is, we buy them back in a jiffy in Game Week 30.
Correct. We just load them back up because they'll have the doubles, and ultimately for the run-in, you want the guys from the good teams.
Yeah, like I just wanted to note some pointers. If you could open Ben's ticker, like just factors to consider, and then it's for you to sit down and figure out what to do and what not to do. But like if you look at Liverpool's fixtures immediately after 29, they've got Forest away and City at home in 28. Then they've got Brighton at home, Sheffield United at home, United away. Like immediately they're on a great run of fixtures. So you want to get that. You want to get in early on that, right? Who else has good fixtures? I have actually noted down teams that you need to be wary of. You can load that slide also.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, just, I was staring at Ben's fixture ticker and just looking at which teams have good fixtures now that sort of carry forward. So the fixtures in good teams that have good fixtures in 24, City right now, but City always have good fixtures just by virtue of being Man City. Liverpool right now for the double have good fixtures. Luton and Bournemouth have good fixtures right now because you're targeting them until 28 double as well. Aston Villa have good fixtures because they don't blank at all. Arsenal have good fixtures, but they don't blank at all until 29. And Brentford have good fixtures because you're looking at no blanks and 2 doubles before 29. So this is what you're probably targeting if you're looking at a Game Week 24 wildcard. If you're looking at a Game Week 26, 27 wildcard, City always have good fixtures. Try shoehorning 1 or 2 players in there, Would you compromise? Like, I would feel ridiculous compromising on a Haaland in 27, 28, even though he faces United at home and Liverpool away, because it's Erling Haaland.
Correct.
Bournemouth have
I think
good
you
fixtures.
Could possibly get Haaland in and transfer him out for Solanke in 29, etc. So,
28.
28, sorry, yeah.
Yes. Bournemouth have good fixtures, and what I've done is these teams in 26, 27 have good fixtures and have followed through good fixtures post 29 as well. So Bournemouth, you're looking at Burnley in 27, Sheffield United and Luton in 28. And then the follow through after 29 is Everton at home, Crystal Palace at home, Luton away. So it would be good to load up on Bournemouth fixture. Luton Town have good fixtures in 26, 27, but after 29, they just have terrible fixtures. They've got Spurs away, Arsenal away, and then Bournemouth home after 29.
Correct.
Aston Villa are one of the teams that you can target in 24 wildcard as well as 26, 27 wildcard, as well as just a good buy at the moment, because they don't blank in any of the weeks and have decent fixtures throughout.
But then that also means that they won't have any doubles.
Yeah. But you don't mind that, right? You can't
Correct,
have
but
everything.
I'm just playing the devil's advocate for 34, 37, etc.
Yeah. But just like, what do you think when you read this? If you're building a wildcard now, or if you're building a wildcard in 26, 27, like loading one of their defenders as a fourth or a fifth defender and getting Watkins isn't a bad idea.
Definitely, because now both
Yeah.
the wing backs have the upside.
Yeah. So, West Ham have good fixtures post 26, 27 and okay fixtures post 29. United and Wolves are teams that have good fixtures in 26 immediately, but they are likely to not blank in 29. So if you're setting up with a wildcard 26, 27 free hit 29 strategy, then you can go load up on United
These are
Wolves
not
as well.
blank, they're likely to blank, you mean, in 29.
Likely to blank in 29. Same with Arsenal, great fixtures post 29. Crystal Palace also great fixtures post 29. Brighton as well, but Brighton, Europe starts in 26. And all their players are back as well. Mitoma's back, Ansu Fati's back, Adingra's back. That means more rotation. Spurs is a golden team. Good fixtures now, just a blank in 26, and then good fixtures after 29 as well. Like after 29, you're looking at Luton at home, West Ham away, and Forest at home for Spurs. So if you're building a wildcard in 26 or 27, go heavy on Spurs.
Yeah, 26.
And what I've
bench them if you have to.
Yeah. And what I've noted is the good fixtures post 30 is the teams that you're going to have to probably pivot into post 30. And the three important ones are Liverpool, Newcastle United, and Chelsea that are not covered in the good 26-27 column.
And the City will obviously be in there because that's a full title season.
Yeah, City is always good. And then we'll know what 34 and 37 blanked and doubles are going to look right? So that's a little bit of a blind spot, wildcarding so early in 26-27.
Correct. Out of all the wildcard windows we have discussed, the one that does appeal to be the most is 27. But as of now, I'm planning a wildcard in 30, but I'm totally open to the possibility of changing my mind depending on how the cup results go.
I am in exactly the same position as you. Likely wildcarding in 30, 37 with an open mind in 27 31. Is where I'm at.
31, you said 37.
30, 31. 30, 31 with an open mind in 27 is where I'm at. Like even if I'm taking a -4, -8, because you can psych yourself out. Even if I'm taking a -4, -8 to set up players in 26, if a wildcard opportunity opens up in 27, you take it.
I'd agree with that. I think we did that last year also. I think Spurs or somebody lost and we just immediately everyone activated. So it could be a similar situation. Let's talk about some games from this week. We've spoken a lot about the future. Let's talk about some matchups. Again, we have the graphics up from Rofty, FPL. And again, the point you mentioned about Liverpool having the highest upside this week, they're projected to score the most goals, 3.1. City at 2.75. And Arsenal, for example, is just 2.1. So I see the point you were making on the whole Saka to Jota thing.
Yeah. It's just the best fixture, man, for one of the most attacking teams. And also, I do feel like the performance against Arsenal by Liverpool might put people off Liverpool incorrectly.
Yeah.
Because Arsenal are one of the best teams.
And we're going to definitely see a reaction after a loss.
And Arsenal are just incredibly well set up to face a team like Liverpool. They're set up well. They've got such amazing defensive stability at the moment. So that's where we are.
So again, the City, the advantage is they are the first kickoff. It'll be interesting to see if we get news on any benches. If all the three guys, one of them is benched, I don't think it's going to happen. But I do think they're going to tonk Everton. I know they've had good defensive numbers, but Pep and Sean Dyche, he always scores 2 or 3.
Oh yeah, Sean Dyche and Pep. It always scores 5.
5. I don't want to go too far on that, but yeah, I do expect at least 3.
City had a record of scoring 5 goals at home every time against Burnley. Like that was the case.
So it's not like Dyche knows how to counter Pep.
Yeah. Spurs versus Brighton, again, a good fixture for Richarlison.
It feels like a 3-3 game.
Fixture. Yeah. And Son could be back for this game.
He is back in training. They do said he was going to join training today. Whether he starts or not remains to be seen.
Yeah.
What do you think that will make a difference? I don't think you go right now. I think you could actually, but I guess you're prioritizing the Liverpool guys. But where do you think he'll play against instead of Werner, right?
Yeah. He has to play instead. I don't see Richarlison losing a spot.
You might see a few late subs with Werner on in that role. Son move central, etc., etc. minutes probably reduced slightly by 10, but he's such a form player, man. And I think he's more suited again because of the one-touch finishes that he can do for the Rand system.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and most of us will probably look at picking 3 from Poro, Udogi. Udogi's been matching Poro or even bettering him for the last 3-4 weeks. Just something to pay attention to. Maddison, Son, and Richarlison by the time 27 comes, because they definitely play in 29. So you're going to target Spurs players in 27 no matter what, because even post 29 is great for Spurs.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk of selling Poro next week or maybe in 26. I'll still like to keep him. I think he's taking the set pieces. If you got him cheap, still decent hold.
Yeah, but it isn't the worst sell because Spurs aren't keeping clean sheets at the moment.
Yeah,
just know that he can get a 15.
Who is?
Yeah, just know that you can. And doubles. Like just know that you're exposing yourself to a 15-pointer, a highly owned 15-pointer at any point from a
75% EO. So that is a factor.
And the point to take is that when he did play with Maddison, Poro kept all the set pieces.
That's a big thing. Because if he had lost the set pieces, but this conversation would be completely different. Spurs are good at set pieces as well.
Yeah, yep. Forest, Newcastle. Newcastle defense, man.
I think this is again Forest. Difficult.
I just want to say to Pras, tell me what underwear you were wearing, man. Because Newcastle defend from a Newcastle team that's conceding 4 goals and a bottom 19-20th. Like, I think there's a little bit of a perception because people are attuned to Trippier. Clean sheet is equal to 9 points. Newcastle at the moment without Joe Linton and still looking ragged aren't keeping clean sheets. They're probably decent fixtures for attackers at the moment until they improve. But we don't see them improving anytime soon. It's been going on for a while now. So when I'm asking you, Zoff, because you are less extreme and more measured in your adjusting the prior situation, how do you view Newcastle? Because I don't think Trippier's an elite asset like he used to be. Like, because they don't keep, by matter of fact of Newcastle's defensive strength. Like, what's your perception? Yeah.
What has changed in Newcastle? Their midfield generally looks a lot more porous, right? Teams are just bypassing it completely.
No Joe Linton.
No Joe Linton. That's exactly, you're right. Because they don't have the physicality now with Miley in there. Bruno is trying, but Bruno also looks a bit more leggy now.
And something we need to be wary of, right? In the second half of the season as a meta, Newcastle are, as a team, have just played more games than most of the other Premier League teams.
And they've lost the aura. That's a similar thing that's happened with Chelsea, right? Once you lose the aura, but in your home matches, team don't fear you anymore. Just a second, I'm going to let Frankie out.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention that it's just not that they've played the most number of matches. They've been massively screwed by injuries throughout, right? So it's the same guys who are still playing at the moment who played a lot of minutes at the moment, which is affecting their defensive stability as a team at the moment. I mean, they're sitting at 16.52 in the last 6 matches, which is the worst XGC in the league. The second worst is Brentford at 11.11 in the last 6 matches. Like, that's the difference. That's the margin that we're looking at. Obviously, they got absolutely destroyed by Liverpool, which plays, I think that 5 or 6 XG in one game, but still worth noting.
They still score goals, though. In fact, their attack is still looking sharper now.
Yeah, agree. No problem with attackers, but you're not buying at the moment. You're prioritizing other teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you see Villa United going?
Close. I just want to see how much we get affected by us losing Lisandro, because we're looking like a decent 5th place to 10th place team. Slightly more consistent. I think we're looking slightly.
I think you have the tools to counter Villa's highline.
Yeah. And I mentioned it like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like, more people will start looking at Haaland by the time 26 comes. Like, I had to do an article for Scout 3 weeks ago in terms of players to watch out for in the second of the season. I mentioned Haaland because he's 6.5 to 7 million. I did not mention Bruno or Rashford because I didn't think they would offer the value for money for 8 million plus. But for a 6.5 to 7 million plus, Martial's injured. So Haaland is going to play 90 minutes more often than not. He's just a good pick towards this final stretch of the season.
I think you guys will get them. Villa, just in general, they seem to be slumping a little bit. The performance was. I thought that as much as Chelsea were good, I did think Villa were quite poor as well.
But Villa at home, I still have them as favorites, though.
Yeah.
Especially because Maguire's playing and he didn't look good when he came on. When Lisandro went off.
Yeah. You guys aren't as Jekyll as Hyde as Chelsea, but again, it's a little bit you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah, inconsistent team.
Fulham, Bournemouth, anything to talk about?
I mean, let's contextualize this from a very selfish point of view. How do you rate Fulham's defense as home versus how do you rate Crystal Palace Chelsea? Because I might have a decision between Solanke and Palmer. Who do you fancy playing more?
Palmer easily, man. Palace are in a bad place. The fans are going to be full vitriol against Hodgson. It's no contest for me.
And there's no Gehi. There's no Olise. Likely no Eze.
And there's no likely. Confirmed no Eze.
And their midfield look rubbish. They just don't have a first choice team at the moment. So while most of us are looking to bench Palmer or sell Palmer this week, including me, the football side, I still might sell Palmer. I just want to mention that when I'll talk about my team's plans, is that Palmer looks like a great pick just for this week alone. Like, and I have wounds from selling Ollie Watkins last week for being fixture chess, right? Like, so that's what's playing in my head. But what do you think is the difference between, are Fulham really good at home defensively?
They're better. They're significant. I remember having a look at the stats. They're like in the bottom 5 away XGC, but at home they're significantly better.
And in general, I'm just looking at XGC last 6. They're about 7th or 8th best in the league at the moment.
They're definitely a better defense than we give them credit for, and much better at Craven Cottage. The nature of the pitch, etc., helps them, I think.
And even if you were looking to sell Dom for a Darwin this week, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, I would do that much more than, say, selling a Palmer this week.
Fair. Pras is benching Palmer this week, he mentioned. It's effectively selling Palmer because he's delaying the sell for Palmer next week. So yeah, he mentioned. But I told him the only person he can consider.
Talking about benching, shall we talk about suboptimal and optimal moves?
Yeah, I mean, you made the extremely suboptimal move of selling Solanke. Very suboptimal. How many touches did Solanke have in the box? I don't know. How many shots did he have? I don't know.
0.
But, yeah.
But in general, cool. I don't believe there's an optimal or suboptimal way to play the game, because we all play the game with different things, way to play it, right? For example, I had made the point about benches, right? I refuse to have any money in my 8th attack, or refuse to have any decision to make, and it might lead to fewer points in the next few weeks, right? But it just improves my relationship with the game a lot more. I play the game as an escape. Like, I don't want to carry forward the game to the next day where I'm grumpy at work, when I'm chilling with my family or loved ones, etc. I'm just not in a nice mood. It might again cost me points, but I just want to keep the decision making simple, because 2 things I think are the most important things in FPL. I think patience and managing yourself. And with managing yourself comes a lot of managing regret. If you have a lot of regret in this game, it sort of carries forward into your decisions, etc. and all that stuff. So I'm always a believer of just keeping things simple. And I was very conscious when this Haaland injury happens, don't spread the money around. I just have your duds like Archer, etc. sitting there.
Yeah, man. And X regret is generally going to be high in the next 7-8 weeks. Because whether we attack, if we attack, we are exposing ourselves to good single game weekers. If we don't attack, we are exposing ourselves to double game weekers. It's going to be high, man. Just take it on the chin. The
variance is going to be there. And again, I know nothing against people who do the whole optimal thing. It's that, again, what you want from the game and how you want to play it. But I personally just feel that there are different things that can happen, which you don't know in the future.
Like, most of us are human playing the game, right? Like how you cited. And I think it's important because people like to know about how you manage your emotions as well, right? Like, one thing I realized last year was when I started listening to people and making moves against my instinct, my regret was very high. Like, I was in a bad mood throughout the week. So like, that was one of the things that I typecasted at the start of the season, where whatever I do, I'll live or die by my own spot. So selling Watkins was my decision. Like, it wasn't influenced by anybody, right? And it just helped me live with it easier, because whatever I did, and it's fine. I made a mistake. You live with it. It's going to happen in the next few weeks. I got extreme punishment. It's worth noting that out of all the outcome probabilities, Watkins getting an 18 pointer was probably 1%, 2%.
And the difference between 0.61 XG, something like that. We should mention that.
one thing about players hauling is they're going to get 3 or 4 returns out of 1 XGI approximately.
Yeah.
Like they're going to overperform in that game to get high. What I want to notice the difference between Watkins and Solanke sell, which I was so close to doing, being 16 points was even greater.
Correct.
Like you'd expect like an 8-10 point variance. So understand that, okay, you got a bad beat, now move on. Yeah. Like one thing about FPL, and that's something life is as well, right? Like if you screwed up your health terribly or anything of that sort, there's nothing you can do about what's happened. You can only consolidate what can happen moving forward. So just dive into planning, man. There's so much news and there's talking about and planning about the future is just so much fun. So like it's something Freeman told us, Tom Freeman, where he just forgets what's happened and focuses on what to do in the future. That makes it easier.
I have a lot of sympathy for Foden benchers this week, man. It would hurt. I mean, honestly, I would be in such a grumpy mood. It's so foul. So my sympathy is with you guys. That was again a very high variance outcome.
Yeah, man. It is just what it is. Like right now, there's so many good players in the game that there is going to be a high variance outcome.
Correct.
And it's going. I
think
think
you could argue that
fun.
I at least have Foden in my team, even though he's on my bench. I have him for future game weeks, etc., etc. So I get that point as well.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Luton Town versus Sheffield United. Do you think that game might be different? Sheffield might score.
I think Sheffield United will score, but Luton will win.
Fair. Wolves Brentford. Wolves are a team people are going to target in a couple of weeks.
I'm a full fanboy
Not going to
at Wolves. Yeah. They're just attacking and they have so many good options now. Cunha, Chan coming back. Neto is just such a ball. I think Neto is getting a move next year to a big team.
Yeah, for sure. Like he's just citing some stats off the back of the head. Cunha has 12 returns in the last 12 games. Neto has 12 returns in the last 14 games. All ballers and people we're going to target by the time Gameweek 26 comes, potentially. West Ham Arsenal, how do you see this game? Because when Pras was talking to me about benching Palmer, I told him I would consider benching Saka, but he's a Saka fanboy.
That's an interesting one. We all captained Saka, right, for the reverse fixture?
Yeah. So I don't remember that, but it's not like, Saka has pens and Palmer has pens. Both have minutes as well. So objectively speaking, is Saka getting more goodwill because of being in the league as a prime asset for a longer duration? Because West Ham away are a tougher opposition compared to Palace away at this minute.
No. This minute definitely. I do agree with what you're saying there. But in terms of stats, also what I want to talk about West Ham, the numbers are very strange. They've seen them in the bottom 18th, 19th for your XGC and the shots, but the last 6 game weeks they've conceded 6 goals. That's not much at all. Newcastle have conceded more than double that. So it's a very hard read on West Ham, and they set up very differently. How they do versus an Arsenal or a big team, versus how they would set up versus a Luton or a Sheffield United, right? You were saying something?
Yeah, but straight shootout, man. Who do you start, Palmer or Saka? Given what you've seen at Palace also, I don't think it's easily Saka.
It's not easily Saka, no. Just because of how bad Palace are doing right now. And Palmer, I think now he's going to be playing the center forward role. We should mention that there was a change in tactics yesterday where they put Palmer up top and they played Jackson on the left. It seemed to work.
Yeah. So yeah, man. I just think I would start Palmer. I don't want to sit on the fence between these two.
Yeah, we don't sit on the fence. So I think it would be Palmer for me as well, because Palace are in a bad place. And if we had lost yesterday to Villa, this would be El Sacico.
Yeah. And Gehi's also injured. Like that's an even bigger loss.
He can't park the bus. Palace. The fans will be on his ass if he parks the bus at home. And who will they attack with?
Yeah. Yep. And like the odds of Arsenal putting 4 or 5 goals through West Ham aren't that high.
I think you see Arsenal, because Arsenal away aren't that side. Arsenal away and home are very different. We've seen it's a very consistent pattern of games now. You're talking at maybe a 2-0, at best 3-1 sort of situation.
Yeah. So I still might sell Palmer, man.
I might still sell Saka, so we never know what happens there.
Yeah. Let's move into our teams.
Let's do our bus teams. This is mine up first. I've got Dubravka in goal, Porro, Trent, and Gabriel in defense. Saka, Palmer, Richarlison, Foden, De Bruyne, Watkins, and Haaland cap. Let's touch upon captaincy. I don't think we touched. I think Haaland is the obvious one. Any alternatives you go against that?
Liverpool.
Just Liverpool, right? Because I think the numbers are your starters. You don't need to worry about like the front three. We can pretty safely predict what it's going to be.
It's worth mentioning that City have the first game in this week And also worth mentioning that at the onset of the double game week in 25, it's something you mentioned to me. Liverpool have the first game in 25, so you might get some team leaks for Liverpool in 25 as well.
And City are right after. So City leaks come
Yeah.
quite consistently early. So it's likely you get the City leak as well for 25.
Yeah. When Zoff and I were like talking about arguments of going aggressive this week versus next week, this is also something you can consider.
Yeah, on the bench, I have Cash, Archer, and Kabore.
Love that you have Cash on the bench. Like, nice player to have in 26.
Got very lucky over there. He wasn't very great yesterday, but I think they don't have options.
You don't have options. They don't have options. So what are you thinking, Zoff?
Either I have 0.0 in the bank and one free transfer. So I can either do Watkins to Darwin or Saka to Jota or save. All three are on the menu. I'll see how I feel. But as of now, I'm leaning towards save. That way I can figure out what I want to do next, because and I might end up next week, but I land up then just to Palmer to Hechan and don't even get a second Liverpool attack and like Liverpool asset.
Oof. Tough. You're exposing yourself to Liverpool this week. That's your compromise.
That's my compromise pretty much. And next week, if the attackers go big, if I don't move, because again, ultimately the next week, the only player I want to sell from this slot would be Palmer. Saka, if I sell, I buy back in 26. Same thing with Watkins. Palmer's the only guy I could sell and be like, okay, fine. I won't buy him back for 3-4 game weeks. And to upgrade him to a Liverpool mid, the only cash outlet is Trent.
Or Porro.
Doesn't give me enough. Palmer's about 5.5. I need to go like to 7.6 or something. Porro's like gives you nowhere near that.
Yeah, and you're not going to sell Watkins, but something like a Watkins to an Adebayo gets you there immediately as well.
But again, I'm creating further problems in 26, which is again, the thin bench will catch up to me, because we should mention Kabore is completely dead now. Ogbene has been playing in that right wing back position. I don't see Kabore coming back into the team. Archer has lost his place as well. So I'm in trouble in 26.
Yeah, but just note that if you're attacking this week and you have 7 players in 26 also, but if you have 2 free transfers, you have 9 players, which include 3 City. Correct. So it's never that bad.
I'm not even that against keeping Palmer next week for City, because again, Chelsea might look to attack, old club, etc., etc. Could get something.
Old club narrative is something we at the FPL Wire always believe in.
Penalty taker, etc. So I could do that and then save, and like let's say do Saka to Jota this week and save the next week.
Yeah, and he's the kind of guy that will want to show it, like to City. Like it's an important thing. Yeah.
Definitely. I think who's team up next? This is Palmer on the bench. So this is Pruss, I'm guessing, with Trippier in there.
Yeah.
Who we should mention in the chat and everyone should know. Pruss loves more than his children. Go on.
Yes. Yeah. I tweeted, read out the team. I have it sprinkled on.
Pruss is Dubravka, Gabriel, Porro, and Trippier. Saka, Foden, Richarlison, Diogo Jota, Solanke, Haaland, and Watkins, with Palmer, Saliba, and Konsa on the bench.
And Pruss is looking to get in Alisson. What were his moves?
He was wanting to take a -8. I know Alisson was one of them. Trippier to Walker was one of them.
I'll get my phone.
And Solanke, I remember Solanke to Darwin.
Yeah. So that's his Pruss is -8. And he was looking at selling Palmer next week or the week after that. So he was effectively selling Palmer anyway.
Yeah, Palmer for Jota will be happening in 26. So Pruss is quite determined to go in with triple Liverpool into the double.
He
already has Jota.
Yeah. Okay. So as in 26 when he's getting out of them.
Right. Well, so he'll probably save in 25.
Yeah. Pruss, consider playing Palmer and benching Starboy.
I still don't get the Alisson thing, because again, it's like he's just really hoping for a clean sheet, which I don't think are outstanding clean sheet fixtures. Even Burnley, I do think they're capable of scoring.
I agree.
I wouldn't mess around with the goalkeeper, but Pruss has this whole thing with these big team goalkeepers. So
and Pruss is like the oracle, right? Like he's the master of fixture chess. Like he will make sure that everything is optimal in terms of that. And to give due credit to our boy Pruss as well. He pays attention to the football side as well, but he's top 0.0005 percentile when it comes to fixture chess. He's just aware of everything. Like there's so many pieces moving in his head. Yeah. So many pieces moving in his head right now. So
Pruss, like Vin Diesel, lives for this shit.
Yep.
Your team.
Just before my team, man, we haven't done a Discord plug and a like and subscribe plug. We should, like all the YouTube videos that I watch tell us that we should do this at the start or the onset of the videos. But guys, we're so focused, right, on providing you guys with important content, relevant content. We don't really delve too much into our teams and our points and all of that, because we want to offer and maximize value to you as a listener. So if you appreciate the work that we do, please give us a like and subscribe. And like you saw on this podcast, right, we took out a team from Swan, who's a very ardent, important contributor on a Discord, as well as FPL Tony. Like there's a lot of drafts and ideas that are whistling and blooming in this blank and double season, during this time on a Discord. So if you want to just hang out there and have conversation with them and us, become a member on Patreon. Uh, at patreon.com/the FPL Wire, or become a member on YouTube and you'll get access to our Discord. We're going to start doing more and more for our patrons and Discorders as well, which is probably going to be a Q&A stream, which might kickstart pretty soon as well. So just wanted to get this way. We really appreciate a like and subscribe and get the word out. Share our podcast on YouTube, Twitter, wherever you are as well. Appreciate it. Thanks. Okay. My team, I've got Dubravka, Trent, Gabriel, Porro, Palmer, Foden, De Bruyne, Richarlison, Solanke, Haaland, and Darwin, and McCarthy and Gusto on my bench. So I'm definitely getting in Jota this week. It's either Palmer to Jota for free or McCarthy to Jota for free. If I do McCarthy to Jota for free, I bench Solanke and play Palmer. Is what I'm looking at the moment. I can afford it. But the thing is, the spider senses are big on this weird haircut, orange jersey wearing dude called Doherty. So I can do Palmer and Gusto to do Jota and Doherty for a hit. Play Solanke instead of Palmer this week. This is why I was asking you the difference in fixture perception for Solanke Fulham away versus Palmer. If I want to get Doherty without selling Palmer, then I need to sell one of Gabriel or Porro. Is where I am.
You'd probably sell Porro then in that case, because again, Gabriel, he has the fixtures after, but again, you'd want to keep. I like Porro, man. Porro gets a lot of hate, but I just have a soft
Brighton
spot
at
for
home. Porro is capable of a 15-pointer.
Yeah,
I fully expect Brighton to score.
That being said, Gusto was very good yesterday. Arguably a man of the match.
That's the thing. And the thing is, if I sell Gusto for Doherty, then I have to bench one of Gabriel or Porro this week, and I have to bench one of Gabriel, Porro, or Solanke next week. But the spidey senses on Doherty are high. Like I was talking to Danny Bullet. He's like, everything's fine, just calm down on Doherty at the moment. So
I do think you're a bit higher than him than I would be, because again, I look at him as somebody like, who's going to get like an assist, like your 4 to 6 kind of guy.
Yeah, but if Doherty gets a 15-pointer Zoff, I'm not coming for the pod next week.
Fair enough. But I think my no-brainer move is this one. McCarthy to Jota and Solanke bench.
Yeah, and this is a part of Fixture Chess as well, because McCarthy has a fixture against Wolves away in 26, but that's just Fixture Chess. Like I see it as 2 points, maybe 6, 7. Forget it.
Yeah. Wolves are good at home. Again, I don't see a big upside there.
Yeah, I'll contemplate. That's where I'm at the moment. I'm not sure. I'll let this simmer.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Because the thing is, the replacement for Palmer is Solanke. Isn't that's the thing.
Fair. Let's wrap up, as we've almost 90 minutes. It's a shorter turnaround again.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Great chatting to you. We tried covering everything. Yeah, we tried covering everything to the best of our abilities. But even if not this week, I'm sure Pras will do a wildcard window video at some point, because it becomes difficult to build a draft for this team and play the pros and cons of this window, then this window, then this window, when we've just received information yesterday. Both of us have a full-time job as well, so it becomes a little difficult to do that. But the best practice we can recommend is build a team, future plan, and then see whether you want to use it or not. That's where we are.
I'd agree with that.
Cool.
Fun times coming.
That's a fun times coming, man. Good luck, Zoff.
Good luck.
Get Jota.
Big decisions we make. I think I might get Jota, because somebody mentioned in the chat, you're going to be hiding behind a big sofa whenever Liverpool play over the next few weeks. And in general, the main reason I got to Richarlison was, again, I shit myself watching a monitor. I think that's going to be there with Jota again.
Yeah. I think what you should do, right, just as a fun thing, if you get an hour free, is watch a full game of Liverpool, not the Arsenal game, the one before that, and see how you feel after that.
Yeah,
and let's see how
see how
you feel about that.
how that
All
beater
right.
goes.
Cheers, man.
Fair enough,
I
man.
wish you
Cheers.
good luck. I
That was
hope
fun.
you storm your way into the top 10K soon enough, bro. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye
I
bye.
appreciate that. See you. Bye bye.